Welcome to the second installment of my mini-series looking at the history of Mario. In the first one, we discussed Mario's origin and rise to popularity throughout the 1980s. In this one, we'll look onwards to the 1990s, which brought with it some huge milestones for the character and franchise as a whole. Before we indulge in nostalgia, however, I'd like to first tell you about the sponsor of today's video, Squarespace. So, last time I shared how I transformed my website, DPadGamer.com, into something I can use and be proud of. Unfortunately, with only a short amount of time, I only scratched the surface of what's possible with Squarespace. If you happen to be a content creator, you can add images and video galleries to show off your work, which includes YouTube videos since embedding only takes a few clicks. Much the same, you can easily set up a blog, which can host a podcast and natively supports likes and comments if that's what you want. You could even make a fully fleshed out digital storefront all with Squarespace. Whatever type of site you choose to make, you never have to worry about plugins, patches, or updates, and if you ever require assistance, the support team is available all day, every day. If you'd like to make a website of your own, go to squarespace.com/DPadGamer or click the link in the description to start your free trial today. Also, if you use code DPadGamer, you can get 10% off your first purchase. Again, that's squarespace.com/DPadGamer and code DPadGamer at checkout. With that, let's check out some Mario history by heading back to the past. Releasing in July of 1990, Japan got the falling block puzzle game Dr. Mario. I don't know how or when he got a hold of a medical degree, but now Dr. Mario is wearing a white coat, prescribing copious amounts of medication, and also this marks the start of the somewhat liked sub-series of Dr. Mario games, which is neat. Later that same year, Nintendo launched the Super Famicom. I mentioned in the previous episode that their stock of 300,000 Game Boys sold out within weeks. Well, the Super Famicom's 300,000 units sold out within hours, and the console's launch titles included F-Zero and Super Mario World. Of course, Super Mario World is a pretty good game, and it sold very well. It marked a nice step up in quality for the Mario series and brought with it some new mechanics, enemies, and allies. For example, the Power Balloon, Pipe Cannons, Climbable Fences, Wiggler, and Dolphin all made their debut in this game, as did the Green Dinosaur Steed / eventual friend, Yoshi. According to a 2017 developer interview, during the development of Super Mario Bros. 3, Shigeru Miyamoto wanted Mario to ride a horse. While that did not happen due to hardware limitations, they revisited the idea with Super Mario World, which, as you may know, takes place on Dinosaur Island. So they went with some kind of large lizard. It got polished from there, and the green dino Koopa thing we now know came to be. Of course, that wasn't the only thing that went on in 1990. This year also saw the start of a Japanese TV show called Super Mario Club, which featured trivia, news, and previews of games for the Famicom, Super Famicom, and Game Boy. It aired from 1990 to 1993, later getting revived for a special episode on December 25th of 2010 to honor Mario's 25th anniversary. I'd also like to shout out the Super Mario Challenge show, which aired exclusively in the United Kingdom from 1990 to 1991, focusing on having guests play Mario games competitively. It was hosted by John Linehan, and despite dressing as Mario, he doesn't even try to play the part.
He says he's the drawer of Super Mario characters, but did you make this yourself?
Yes.
Well done here, well done. Looks just like me, if I must say so myself. Anyway, no more faffing about, we got games to play here.
On to 1991, the westernized version of the Super Famicom, called the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, or SNES, launched this year on November 21st.
Okay, we'll get it for him.
This year, Japan got a simultaneous release of a game called Yoshi for the Famicom and Game Boy. While you technically play as Mario, moving stacks around to overcome the various puzzles, Yoshi is the game's focus. I mean, his name is on the box. While the game itself ended up being pretty forgettable, I think it marks an important milestone in Mario's history. Going forward from here, we'll start to see the spotlight grow as side characters and spin-off games begin to take on a life of their own. This year we also saw the launch of 2 new Mario-related manga series. First, there's the very easily explained Super Mario Kun, printed monthly in Koro Koro Comics. Similar to KC Mario, which was discussed in the previous episode, Super Mario Kun roughly adapted whatever Mario game was most recently released. Unlike KC Mario, which ran for a decade, Super Mario Kun has been getting new volumes from July of 1991 all the way to October of 2020. At the time of making this video, I believe they're currently on the Luigi's Mansion 3 arc. That makes it the longest running Mario manga to date. Its 25th anniversary was celebrated in Super Mario Maker with its own costume and connected event course. The other Mario manga series started this year is a bit more complex. So, Super Mario 4 Manga Theater is a Japan exclusive series which has a unique format. Yonkoma, or 4 is basically a comic strip with 4 panels of equal size. This series of manga ran until 1997 and it produced 11 different books. There was also 4 Manga Kingdom, which started this year and ran until 2002. Also, I'll mention that 4 Manga Battle started in 1995 and ran until 2004, with a similar premise and title covering a similar grouping of Mario games. There was also an anime video game thing, which translated to Super Mario World, Mario and Yoshi's Adventure Island. It was designed to be used with Bandai's Terraria system, which in the US was sold by Mattel.
Let you see and say video phone, where learning begins with laughing.
It was an interactive VHS game system which took the shape of a toy phone. The phone connected to the TV's audio output jack, and the audio on the VHS that wasn't played on the speakers would come out of the phone's receiver. At times, the characters in the video would call the player via the phone, and you could play along by selecting one of 4 options. The VHS would always show the correct answer, but you'd hear audio telling whether or not you were correct. It's pretty weird, but also pretty neat, which is an overused phrase I will continue to utilize because it's very accurate. That said, moving into 1992, we find a few more important milestones for the franchise. The first is actually Super Mario Bros. Pinball. It was released in America on April 25th, 1992, and was officially licensed by Nintendo and developed by a company which I don't know how to pronounce. I don't know if the design of the pinball machine is all that special, but I do know that it's special because it has voice lines for Mario.
My name's Mario. We have a good time, huh?
At the time, no one was credited for the voice work for Super Mario Bros. Pinball, but it has since been confirmed by the man himself that the voice actor was Charles Martinet. He was properly credited for providing the voice and performance for the Mario in Real-Time interactive system that was introduced this year and used by Nintendo in various trade fairs. MERT, for short, was a system where Martinet, or at times another voice actor Stevie Coyle, would stand out of view and perform as Mario in response to audience members that might be nearby. The voice and movements would then be translated to a now sorta spooky looking Mario head in real time, hence the name.
Hey, with the camera there. What's your name?
Name's Dan.
Daniel. Hey, you want to see some action? Watch this.
When it comes to actual video games, the first of 4 was Mario Teaches Typing, released in Japan on March 8th, 1992. It was developed by Interplay Productions and was designed to help improve the player's typing skills, using Mario characters and aesthetic as a backdrop. I believe it was also the first Mario game where Mario actually spoke, voiced by Ronald B. Rubin for the MS-DOS version,
Welcome to Mario Teaches Typing.
and Charles Martinet in the later versions.
Hello, it's me, Mario. I'm going to fly for you.
The next game released this year was simply titled
Mario Paint. Draw and make music. Only on the Super Nintendo Entertainment System.
It was originally bundled with the Super NES or Super Famicom mouse accessory, and the main draw of the game was drawing in art mode. However, it also had stamp mode where you can create custom stamp sprites, animation mode, and music mode, which is probably the most memorable part of the game. The third Mario game released this year was Super Mario Kart. Unlike almost all of Mario games thus far, the focus isn't on platforming, but instead, racing. Also, while Mario's name is in the title, he is simply one of 8 different playable racers. The game was received quite well and of course went on to become a series of its own, with a new installment for every Nintendo console thus far, as well as for arcade titles and even a mobile game. The fourth and final Mario game released this year is Super Mario Land 2, 6 Golden Coins. It is notable for a few reasons. So first off, much like the first Mario Land game, this one was produced by Gunpei Yokoi rather than Shigeru Miyamoto, who actually wasn't involved in the game's development at all. The game's director and designer, Hiroshi Kiyotake, has stated that the team originally wanted to divert from conventional ideas established by the past Mario games. Their first draft was turned down, as there were disagreements on whether or not the product properly represented Mario's character and in-game world. Still, they wanted to provide Mario with a new objective, rather than having him rescue the princess like he had in previous games. It was Kiyotake's idea to introduce a brand new character that acted as Mario's rival and nemesis. That character is, of course, Wario.
Obey me, Wario. I am your master. Mario is your enemy. Don't let Mario get the 6 golden coins. Don't let Mario reach the palace. Obey Wario. Destroy Mario.
Don't fall under Wario's evil spell in Super Mario Land 2, only on Game Boy.
Looking forward a bit, Wario has become quite popular and ended up receiving a number of games of his own, the first of which being, of course, Super Mario Land 3, Wario Land, in 1994. It would later be followed by Wario Land 2, 3, 4, a crossover with Bomberman, Wario World, Master of Disguise, and of course, all of the WarioWare games. These videos are already going to be long enough, so I won't discuss each of them individually, but just know that Wario is not being ignored. I mean, how could you? Have you seen and or heard him? That said, quick shoutouts to some non-Mario things, like Otenba Peach Hime, aka Tomboy Princess Peach. That was a manga strip that ran from 1992 to 1994 and focused on a young version of Princess Peach. Also, Yoshi's Cookie is a tile matching game that released in Japan on the Famicom and Game Boy in 1992, with the Super Famicom and North America releases coming the following year. I'll start 1993 by talking about some good old edutainment, aka games meant to educate and entertain like Mario is Missing, Mario's Time Machine, and all of the Mario's early years. Mario is Missing is notable because it's the first time Luigi is the main protagonist, which is good for him. Otherwise, I don't have much else to say here. These games exist and probably have some fans, which is cool, I guess, but yeah. Mario & Wario is a puzzle platformer that only ever released in Japan for the Super Famicom. In it, Mario, Peach, Yoshi, and Luigi head to a legendary forest in search of a fairy. Along the way, Luigi gets split up so the other three try to find him. Wario flies by in a plane and drops a bucket down onto one of the characters so that the character can't see where they're going and just keep walking forward. You play as a fairly odd forest fairy named Wanda and use the Super Famicom mouse accessory, and basically you must guide the bucket E to Luigi because only he has the power to remove it, for some reason. Mario is default speedball, Peach walks slower, and Yoshi walks faster, so you have 3 different difficulties. It's an odd premise, yes, but it looks like a solid little puzzle game. Also, fun fact, the game was developed by Game Freak and was even referenced in their 1996 game, Pokemon Red and Blue. Even weirder, Yoshi's Safari is the first and, I believe, only real shooting Mario game. In it, you play as Mario riding on Yoshi and shoot at enemies using the Super Scope. I'm so sad we never got a follow-up called something like Yoshi's Island at War or something like that. Oh look, it's 1994. This is the year that I was born, but that's not important, at least for this video. What's really important is that this is the year that Hotel Mario released for the Philips CDI. The gameplay is quite forgettable, but its poorly drawn, roughly animated cutscenes are a sight to behold.
Nice of the princess to invite us over for a picnic, eh, Luigi? I hope she made lots of spaghetti.
In 1995, much like how Super Mario Land 3 was actually a Wario game, Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island, is actually a Yoshi game. Still, it introduced some important stuff for the rest of the franchise, like it introduced Kamek the Magic Koopa, who'd show up in numerous Mario games from then on, as well as Baby Mario and Baby Luigi, which are cute and capable of bursting eardrums. Also, the green Yoshi we know is actually one of many different colored Yoshis. Also, his ability to flutter and throw eggs would carry over into most of his appearances going forward. Changing gears a bit, 1995 was also the year that the Virtual Boy was released. It was marketed as the first console that could display stereoscopic 3D graphics, which was displayed in 4 shades of red and seen by looking into the bulky visor. In a way, it was ahead of its time, but sales were poor, and it was discontinued a year later. Still, there were 22 games released for the system, one of which being Mario's Tennis. While its life on the Virtual Boy was short-lived, Mario's Tennis would later be followed by the rest of the Mario Tennis series, which is pretty neat. Of course, there were also a couple more officially licensed but not super important Mario games like Mario's Picross for the Game Boy and Mario's Game Gallery for Microsoft DOS. That second one was later renamed Mario Fundamentals, so you might know by that name. Also, there was an educational video starring Mario and Kirby called Mario Kirby Masterpiece Video, released this year exclusively in Japan. It was created by a company called HAL Laboratory and was supposed to teach Japanese children kanji. The last Super Mario game released on the Super Nintendo was developed by Square, a company that knows how to make final things. That game is Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars. It's Mario's first RPG and it succeeds and then some, and is still fondly remembered by many to this day. It also stands as a spiritual and thematic predecessor to the eventual Paper Mario series. Also, it has references to multiple other series, cameos like Link in Rose Town, Samus Aran in Mushroom Castle, nods to F-Zero and Star Fox, and so on. I don't know about you, but something about having all of these characters in a Mario game just feels normal, you know? Man, foreshadowing is awesome. Not so awesome, Super Mario RPG was overshadowed by the release of Nintendo's next big home console. On June 23rd, 1996, Japan was introduced to the While it still used cartridges, the N64 was a step forward in other ways, being the first successful inclusion of an analog stick on their controller and having 4 built-in controller ports, things that the PlayStation and Sega Saturn lacked at the time. Also, it was the first system to have a 64-bit processor and 32-bit graphics chip, which allowed for games that featured full 3D graphics and depth of field effects, like the launch title and aptly named Super Mario 64. This was Mario's breakout into the third dimension, laying the groundwork for the rest of the Mario series as well as 3D platforming as a whole. I'm talking about popularizing the name Princess Peach, Charles Martinet being the voice of Mario, introducing moves like the triple jump, long jumping, diving, somersaulting, punching, kicking, and ground pounding. Also, its camera established how difficult it is to make a good camera in a 3D platformer because man, Super Mario 64's camera does not hold up all these years later. While my horrible hot take is that Super Mario 64 hasn't aged all that well, at least as well as some would suggest, it is an undeniable fact that this game was hugely influential on the Mario franchise and players everywhere, myself included. If one great game wasn't enough, Nintendo also released Mario Kart 64 in the same year. Mario Kart 64 once again had 8 racers, but this time Donkey Kong Jr. was replaced by Donkey Kong, and Koopa got the boot for Wario. I have a feeling that if you hadn't heard of him before this is the game that cemented Wario into the minds of players everywhere. Shoutouts to that Stadium shortcut. Now in 3D, on a popular console that has 4 controller ports built in, it's no wonder that this game became a multiplayer classic. Now the one and only game I'd like to highlight from 1997 is not even a Mario game. I'm talking about Yoshi's Story. Sure, it might have Baby Bowser and some other stuff that we've seen before, but not a Mario in sight. Our green little dino is fully out on his own. Good for him. Chugging right along, on December 2nd, 1988, Japan got Mario no Photopia. The game was more of an art and creativity tool, a sort of mix of Mario Paint and a photo editor. The cartridge had a unique design, having 2 slots for smart media cards, which would let you import images from a camera, personal computer, that sort of thing. It was originally planned to have support for the Nintendo 64 disk drive, a short-lived peripheral that I might as well touch on now for the sake of clarity. So, the Nintendo 64 disk drive, or 64DD for short, was first announced in 1995, before the console's release, but delays meant it didn't release until December 1st of 1999. The 64DD connected to the N64 via the extension port on the underside of the console, allowing for use of 64 MB magnetic discs. This means that the console can now utilize expanded and rewritable data storage, a real-time clock, and could even connect to the internet via a dedicated online service called RandNet. While way more games were planned for the disk drive, only 10 discs were released for the 64DD. 4 of them were essentially pieces of a larger whole, under the name of Mario Artist. There was Mario Artist Paint Studio, released on December 11th of 1999, Talent Studio in February of 2000, Communication Kit in June of 2000, and finally Polygon Studio in August of 2000. In development, it was titled Mario Paint 64 and was intended to be a proper sequel now in 3D. What ended up in Paint Studio was something not too far off from the original Mario Paint mixed with Mario no Photopia. It was bundled with a Super Mario 64 mouse, supported the import of images and movies from any NTSC source using the N64 capture cassette cartridge released alongside Talent Studio. Talent Studio was an animation production studio thing. You could import images like faces onto 3D models made in the later released Polygon Studio, dress up models with clothes, accessories, and then animate them with sound, music, and special effects. Looking even further forward, Talent Studio led to a GameCube prototype called Stage Debut, which used the Game Boy Advance's Game Eye peripheral, linked to the GameCube, to map self-portraits of players onto their character models. While it was never released, its character design features became the Mii channel, and self-insert features of Wii Tennis and other games like it, which is pretty neat. That time warp of a detour over, we return to the history of Mario with another monumental release. On December 18th, 1988, Japan was the first to get their hands on Mario Party. Developed by Hudson Soft, Mario Party was the first Mario Party game. Okay, I know that sounds dumb, but this is yet another new genre for Mario, and it of course led to a large number of Mario Party games. It's still a fun time even today, but it wasn't perfect. As you may know or even experienced, some of the minigames required you to rotate the N64's analog stick as fast as possible. This reportedly led to blisters, friction burns, and even lacerations from rotating the stick with the palm of the hand, which, while very painful, is technically most efficient. I don't believe it led to any lawsuits, but it seems around 90 complaints were received by New York's Attorney General's office, and Nintendo of America agreed to a settlement, which included providing gloves to anyone who hurt their hands or hand while playing the game and requested one. That said, Mario Party 2 was released a year later on December 17th, 1999. It had the same 6 playable characters, but arguably improved on the graphics, left out minigames that required stick spinning, and introduced battle, item, and duel minigames. Again going out of chronological order, Mario Party 3 was released on December 7th, 2000, acting as the final Mario game released for the N64. The success of these games led to a 4th, a 5th, a 6th, and so on. As of December of 2020, there's been 11 mainline Mario Party games, 6 sorta spin-offs, mainly for handhelds, and even 6 officially licensed arcade games. There's been 32 different characters to appear in one game or another, and I believe a total of 769 different minigames. While the Mario Party series isn't as far removed from Mario as, say, the Wario Land games, much the same, I'll skip out on highlighting each game individually and instead revisit the topic in the following videos if there's something notable worth mentioning. Moving right along, Mario Golf was also released this year. It features Mario, Peach, Luigi, Yoshi, Donkey Kong, Bowser, as well as Baby Mario, Metal Mario, and multiple original human characters made specifically for this game. There were also a few other characters that you could transfer over from Mario Golf on the Game Boy Color, which was also released this year. Overall, Mario Golf was received quite well, being described as a fun, well-done golf game that had some serious staying power. The game was developed by Camelot Software Planning, which was originally founded as a division of Sega and named Sonic Software Planning. In 1998, they signed with Nintendo as an exclusive second-party developer, working on Mario Golf, its subsequent sequels, the Mario Tennis games, and of course, the Golden Sun games. I just wanted to shout those out. As for the first Mario game released this year, and the last thing we'll talk about in this video, it's time for Super Smash Bros. 64 was developed by HAL Laboratory, another second-party developer for Nintendo. The game started as a prototype made by Masahiro Sakurai and Satoru Iwata in their spare time, and was titled Dragon King, the fighting game. It started out with 4 faceless characters, but Sakurai asked to use Nintendo characters because he thought that they would provide the necessary atmosphere for a home console fighting game like this to succeed. The game brought together the Mario, Donkey Kong, Zelda, Metroid, F-Zero, Earthbound, Kirby, Star Fox, and Pokemon franchises into one chaotic fighting game. While it's not technically a Mario game, he and his series was fairly influential on Smash 64 and its subsequent sequels, and I think it's fair to say that Smash 64 is pretty big when it comes to Mario and his history. Since we've reached this video's stopping point, let's touch base and see where we're at. In just the past 10 years, Mario leapt onto 2 new consoles and into the 3rd dimension. Along the way, he tried his hand at being a doctor, driver, fighter, tennis and golf player, and even hosted some massive parties for him and his friends. All of those activities and his 2 new friends would go on to get series of their own. Mario is turning into a proper household name, and we're only halfway through our journey back to the present. We'll pick things up in part 3 when we venture through the early 2000s of Mario's history, so be sure to subscribe to get notified when that goes live. In the meantime, I'd like to give a big thanks to my channel members for their support, with a super big thanks to Christy Cuntras, Pseudonymous, Jermanger, Achilles Rhodes, Skylar Clark, and Captain Crayfish for being super fans. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please leave a like, maybe comment, and while you wait for part 3, feel free to check out some of the stuff on screen. That's about it for this one. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.